What we're going to take a look at today is the autocomplete feature in email. This is actually very similar to the autocomplete when linking contacts to an appointment or to a journal. What we do is we just type part of the name. So this is our demo system. We have an Isabel in here, and she's got a last name begins with a B, and we have a Perry, and we have an Olive Bertoli. So I'm just typing part of the names. Notice that between multiple entries I just put a semicolon, and then I just hit the tab key and it auto-completes, fills in Isabel, Beasley, and Perry, and Olive's names and email addresses. I can also do this with a comma when I do parts of the name, so Isabel, comma, Perry, comma, Olive, and I hit the tab key and it auto-completes. I can also type part of the name. So I know I have a contact, it's BE something, I'm not quite sure what their last name is. Hit the tab key, and notice that the green underline appears, and that means that there is more than one possible match. So I put my cursor over that, right click, and I say, oh yeah, here's everybody with BE in their name, so I meant Isabel. There it is, so you just select it out of the list, it fills it right in. If Isabel actually had more than one email address, you could right click here on her name, any part of her email address, and her multiple email addresses would show here. So if she also had a hotmail.com address as a personal email, it would show in here, and you could select that out of the list. So it's very easy to select which email address you meant. The only thing you really have to be careful of is if you're filling in the full email address, so Isabel at Jackson.com, semicolon, Bentley, P. Bentley, make sure I spell it right here, Bentley, at bingcorp.com. When I hit the tab key, you notice those fill in just fine. What wouldn't work is instead of the semicolon, if I did the same thing, Isabel at Jackson.com, comma, P. Bentley at bingcorp.com, and I hit the tab key to autocomplete. You see how something's funny with this first address, and it's that comma that's sticking right there. What it tries to do is it thinks the comma is part of the name. So for example, if Isabel was a CPMR, she might be Isabel Beasley, comma, CPMR. So it's trying to match up the comma in the name. The safest thing to always do, whether you're putting in parts of the names or you're putting in the full names, is always use that semicolon to separate multiple entries. If you do that and you hit tab, you'll always be successful. It'll fill it in, or if it's someone that doesn't exist in your system, you hit the tab key, it'll just leave it right there for you. We have more than one of somebody who doesn't exist. I'm just putting in some random email address that I know is not in our system here. It'll just leave them alone and assume, as long as you have the format of an email correctly, that it is correct. If you leave off .coms and whatnot, it'll give you the red line, and it'll say, oh, that's not a properly formatted email address. So the red line's a little hint that, hey, you typed something incorrectly. So rules of thumb, use the semicolon, and you saw when I was typing in Isabel's full email address, I had to look at it actually. I have it over here on the right, Jackson.com, to make sure I spelt it correctly. Much easier if you know they're in the system. Isabel, you can put first initial of her last name, couple letters of her last name, whatever you like, hit the tab key to fill it in. If you don't remember what her first name is, you can just type in the last name and hit tab, and it'll autocomplete for you. If there's more than one Beasley in there, it'll give you that green line and it'll say, hey, select who you meant, and you just select which one of those contacts you meant to type in. So the autocomplete is there to help you, and is really the speediest way and safest way to enter in an email address and make sure you get it formatted correctly.